What is Aniconism? The term Aniconism is generally defined as the absence of material representations of the natural and supernatural world in various cultures. One of the most important aniconic phases in history is in Buddhism. This aniconic phase is early in Buddhist iconography and has been dated from the 5th to the 1st century BC, but the first clear manifestations were during the Mauryan period, 322 BC to 180 BC. Buddha was only represented through particular symbols such as the stupa, the cosmic pillar, the prayer wheel, Buddha's footprints, the bodhi tree and empty throne, the parasol, and the lotus, which will all be individually assessed further. The reason behind these aniconic representations derives from one of Buddha's sayings in the Digha Nikaya, which is a collection of long discourses, specifically 34 texts in the Sutra Pitaka or Siddhartha Pitaka. He discouraged representations of himself after the extinction of his body. Buddha was represented only by symbols because he had achieved nirvana and was no longer thought to be in physical form. A primary figure who encouraged Aniconism in Buddhist art is the Emperor Ashoka. He therefore established the Ashokan pillar. This vital feature was used simultaneously in early Buddhist iconography with stupas. Aniconism was fundamental in telling the story of Buddha in narrative scenes displayed in decorative stupas and other sculpture. Following this pattern, other symbols and elements began to share this representation and ultimately became essential to the history of Buddhism. Described by Vidya Dehasia, an associate director and chief curator of Southeast Asian art, a stupa is a solid earthen mound that enshrined a portion of the relics of Buddha and was a focal point of Buddhist monasteries across India. From central India, the great stupa at Sanchi is said to be the best preserved of early stone stupas according to Dehasia, and was originally built in 250 BC and then enlarged and renovated from 50 BC to 25 BC. The great stupa at Sanchi used narrative reliefs to tell Buddha's life story. Episodes of the Buddha's life and teachings are displayed through the decoration of the stupa in the typical form of tablets or friezes, which also display other aniconic symbols like the chakra, the footprint, the bodhi tree and empty throne, the parasol, and the lotus. For the most part, the carved reliefs were located on railings and gateways, or in some cases as part of the facing of the exterior of stupas. These images helped to communicate and reinforce the central meaning of the monuments they adorned. Devotion to the relics of Buddha was a considerable activity of the stupa, so the prominent motif in the carvings is indeed fitting. The stupa was made up of the torana, the gateway or portal around the stupa, the anda, the dome itself, the Shatravali, the umbrellas at the top of the capital, and most importantly, the yashti, the middle staff. The relics of Buddha were spread at the center of the stupa and placed at the base of the yashti, also called the cosmic pillar and axis mundi. The yashti's central placement in the stupa and its height was meant to resemble the separation of heaven and earth like the story of creation from Vedic literature. It served as a symbol of Buddha's teaching and was also a necessity for an emperor so that he could rule peacefully and without chaos. The yashti was a very important component of the stupa and was influenced greatly by Ashoka, the emperor of the Maurya Empire from 273 BC to 232 BC, who introduced the Ashokan pillar. He reigned over most of South Asia and beyond, present-day Afghanistan to Bengal and even as far south as Mysore. After his conversion to Buddhism from a career of conquest and violence, Emperor Ashoka built edict pillars all over India to entail Buddhist law. He inscribed on rocks and the pillars that he instituted across his empire with Greek, Aramaic, and Brahmi scripts. Emperor Ashoka erected numerous pillars at the sacred sites of Buddhism in attempts to make Buddhism a worldwide tradition. Similar to the cosmic pillar, the Ashokan pillar displayed Buddha's teaching. Ashoka also incorporated other elements on the pillar to establish Buddhism. Animals like the bull, the elephant, the horse, and especially the lion were present. The lions were used as a symbol of Buddha's royalty. The Buddha was known as the Shakya lion during Ashoka's time. so this symbol was used on the Buddhist pillars he planted throughout India. The lion capital was the national symbol of India and is associated with regality, strength, and power. These pillars have been noted with Persian inspiration and influence seen in the character and structure of the animals themselves. Distinctively, the lions were usually depicted with triangular-shaped eyes, muscular legs, and stylized mane and whiskers, which were all Persian elements and techniques. The cosmic pillar capitals also implemented other parts of Buddhism and Indian culture. For example, the Varsastali, or inverted water pot, was essentially monsoon iconography of India, but also was a part of the cosmic pillar. The Chakra, or wheel of Buddhism, also decorated the capital's platform and brought another valuable feature to the pillar which impacted Buddhism. The Chakra, the Buddhist wheel of law or righteousness, is invariably associated with the Buddha's first sermon, during which he is said to have set the wheel of law in motion, as noted in Susan Huntington's article, a distinguished professor of history of art at The Ohio State University. The chakra evolved as a symbol of the Buddhist teachings and as an emblem of the Chakravartin, or wheel turner, identifying the wheel as the Dharma chakra, or wheel of law, while the Tibetan term for Dharma chakra literally means the wheel of transformation. Dharma chakra also symbolizes the Four Noble Truths expressed by Buddha. The fluid motion of the wheel presents a suitable metaphor for the rapid spiritual change produced by Buddha's teachings. Therefore, Buddha's first discourse at the Deer Park in Sarnath is known as the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. The chakra is the basic shape of a circle